Tonight, a possible primetime speech preview. President Trump all but confirmed election integrity will be at least one of the focal points of his Thursday night speech.
But I'd rather save it, but it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah.
We are less than 4 months away from the midterm elections, and President Trump's election security bill, which would create proof of citizenship requirements for voting and end most mail-in ballots, has largely stalled in Congress. But the question remains, have the last 6 years foreshadowed what we may hear on Thursday?
Because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that.
This year, they rigged an election. They rigged it like they've never rigged an election before.
This election was rigged, and the Supreme Court and other courts didn't want to do anything about it. Radical left Democrats rigged the presidential election in 2020, and we're not going to allow them to rig the presidential election in 2024.
There's no way we lost Georgia. There's no way.
Look at some of the places that horrible corruption on elections, and the federal government should not allow that. The federal government should get involved. They're trying to stop anybody from looking. You know why? Because they cheated like dogs.
Joe, are we really going to do this again?
You know, it's funny, you presupposed this package of clips with, let's go back 6 years. What about if we went back 8 years to when the Democratic Party was convincing the American public that the Russians colluded with the president to steal the election? Now, that's past history. Marist, shout out to my alma mater, had a poll out February 26th or March 26th this year, and it showed that voter confidence in elections was the lowest it's ever been since Marist started doing that. And the drop actually came from Democrats and independents. So if the president is going to make a speech,
the president
and talk
said
about election,
he has never lost an election that he thought was free and fair.
If the president is going to show evidence,
he never won one clearly that he thinks is free and fair.
He has never lost an election. Going back to the 2016 primary in Iowa, that he argued was stolen by Republicans, I guess.
If the president...
So I'm asking you, is he really going to use his megaphone as president of the United States, maybe even prime time, to rehash crazy election conspiracies about 2020, about anything?
Maybe 2016 with the Russians. Anyway, two things. Number one,
I mean, is he going to do that?
You know he won in 2016. You know he won.
Voter confidence in elections is, as I mentioned, it's very low. If the president is going to give a speech highlighting how elections should be more secure, I'm not sure why that's a bad thing. Number two segments ago, you talked about how we shouldn't be prejudging things without seeing the evidence. You criticized the administration for defending some of these cops in some of these situations. Why are we presupposing that whatever the president says, whether it's evidence or it's opinion or there's some new evidence that a foreign government tried to hack our elections, why are we presupposing what the DOJ, the president, the White House is saying is false? I think that's a big reason that we're on a big
because people have looked and they have found nothing. We're not prejudging.
That we haven't seen.
We're actually reading facts.
No, you don't know what he's going to say. You don't know the evidence, and you've already decided that it's wrong. You've already decided it's wrong.
I feel like
the president said nothing in the interview that you just saw. He said nothing about what they're going to talk about on Thursday
politically, can we talk politically?
Great. If he doesn't talk about the election, fine.
So but if he has evidence that there's some sort of fraud or corruption in elections,
hold on. Evidence of what? What exactly?
I knew you guys. So we've gone through this. We've gone through
evidence of what? I mean,
the mouse in the wheel.
What evidence is he going to present?
Look,
about the election that he lost.
I'm with Joe. I think it's not good to prejudge a speech that hasn't been made yet. But there has been speculation that investigators have found that there may have been foreign interference or attempts at foreign interference in 2020. Now, it wasn't that many years ago, as Joe pointed out, that we we all aflutter about foreign interference in our elections.
So
if he has allegations
you don't think the results
and evidence, don't you want to know it?
So Scott,
aren't you curious as a journalist?
Conspiracies of the people who were involved in the 2020 election conspiracies coming back again, but now Trump has he put his people over at the Director of National Intelligence, and apparently some of these same folks are behind this speech. The Washington Post reports that he's making this primetime address at the urging of Bill Pulte, the acting DNI, and John Solomon, the former conservative journalist who temporarily joined the White House to help review government records for release. Solomon has long requested investigations surrounding Trump and has pushed for the release of FBI investigatory files related to alleged election interference. These conspiracies, to be clear, there was no evidence in 2020. There is no evidence today. Trump literally called down to Georgia and asked for them to look for 13,000 votes that he lost in a Republican-led state where Republicans down ballot won and he lost. So again, what are we rehashing
here? I think
here?
the thing that is like most confusing right now is that you actually used to believe that too, Scott. So I hope right now in this moment you are not actually questioning the results of the 2020 election, because that is really dangerous.
I've said nothing of the sort.
Okay,
Have you heard me say otherwise?
Let's just make sure. I just wanted to double check.
If you want to attack me, let me answer.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just questioning what you were saying.
Here's all I've said, is that we know what we know today. The president plans to make a speech on Thursday. There have been speculations that they have found possibility that foreign governments may have tried to interfere in the election. Now, whether that changed anything or not, I don't know. But don't you all want to know?
That's a fair question. Scott Jennings, calm as ever, asked the one fair question. How about we wait and see the evidence before we all decide it's garbage?
That is
we don't know.
Don't you think the first step's the line, though?
The answer to that question, honestly, is no.
Don't you think you don't?
I don't think that.
If there was concrete evidence that a foreign government tried to, we used to want to know around here. It used to be all over.
Don't you think
I think that we are giving a lot of credence to things that have already been debunked.
I think,
and that is not appropriate. Okay, these theories have already been debunked.
What theories?
And by suggesting that they're going to come up, they're going to put their hand in the hat and pull out a rabbit on this is completely disingenuous.
The fact that you're prejudging evidence you have not seen, you don't know what investigation.
Every case that they have ever brought on this has been tossed out.
What the speech is about. I have no idea.
Every case they have brought on this has been tossed out. They have never provided any evidence of any wrongdoing in the 2020 election significant enough to change the outcome of the election.
What if they do
The only people
Thursday?
playing around with voting machines are Trump and his people.
What if they present evidence?
He hasn't forgotten Fulton County, but I think a lot of Georgia Republicans have tried to move past, and I think Mike Collins and Rick Jackson are going to, coming from Georgia, I'm telling you, they're going to be put in a more precarious situation because of this.
Grave allegations require equally grave evidence. That is what I am looking for on Thursday night. You all should all be looking for it.
You
should all be listening.
I think you're going to be disappointed, my friend.
All right, we'll see.
I love Scott Jennings. Honestly, I think Scott's great. But sometimes I do think his job is a really simple one, not an easy one. Not many people can do what he does because they try to rile you up. But all Scott Jennings has to do is remain calm and ask a probing question. And the other side reveals their hand way too easily. Grave allegations demand grave evidence. That's well said. I think Abby Phillip said there was no evidence presented in the past, so how about we wait for the real evidence now? Is that too much to ask? Ashley Ellison said she does know. Well, how does she know? What does she know that we don't know? Securing an election is the bedrock of democracy. Free and fair elections, I thought, are something everyone aspires to, including CNN. What is their motivation? What is the motivation of the panel? I think, in my opinion, they hate anything Trump does. Something is over them. Honestly, let's pray for them. And you've watched the whole segment, the whole exchange right here on my channel with no ad breaks cutting into the moment, which is more than CNN will give you. So hats off to you for that. Comment below, should you judge a speech before you hear it? Who actually pushed a bigger election story over the last 8 years? What did Clinton say? And was Scott Jennings right that grave claims need grave evidence? Drop it down below, smash that like, subscribe if you're new here, you're very welcome here, and there is a tip jar link down below if you want to support the channel. Hats off to Scott Jennings, Newsnight with Abby Phillip. CNN. Appreciate you guys. God bless.